US President Joe Biden has arrived at the US-Mexico border for the first time since taking office in a bid to show progress on migration. Joining us now is political analyst and professor at Curtin University, Joe Siracusa. Professor, good morning. Thank you for joining us. How significant is this visit?
Good morning. Well, look, it's the visit he had to make. I mean, he's been under enormous criticism from human rights activists and people who are pro-migration to do more. They don't like what he's done. The Mexicans don't like what he's done. And of course, he's headed for a big conference in Mexico for a couple of days on what to do with these people. And the Republicans have been beating him up with it. You know, Biden kept saying that Trump had migration all wrong. And as a matter of fact, he hasn't progressed 1 inch on this. Now, look, Danica, you can only do 3 things in migrants. You can accept them, or you could send them, detain them, or you can turn them back. I mean, there's not a lot of choices here. This little town of El Paso with 670,000 people is getting 2,000 migrants a day showing up. They're overwhelmed. And people who are in this movement are overwhelmed. And I'll tell you what, I've been checking a little bit about the criticism from the human rights activists in that neck of the woods, and they're very angry with Biden, not because of what he's done or not done, but because he's given preference to Ukrainians. And so they're starting to see sort of a racial context to the refusal to help.
An interesting take on that one. What about Kevin McCarthy, elected House Speaker on the 15th vote? It was certainly a saga last week. They got there. He's had to make a number of concessions, though. What does this mean for the new Congress?
Well, he's made some superficial concessions. You know, he's let a few of these people jump the queue and sit on various committees, the Rules Committee and the Intelligence Committee and the like. They're not going to kill him at the end of the day because, you know, in politics, you could always get even with people. So, but they did make their point, and President Trump made his point. I mean, these people are all MAGA people. And of course, even McCarthy said at the end he wanted to thank President Trump for what was going on. But look, they're going after the intelligence and the national security services, and they're going after the Department of Justice. That is, they're going after the FBI. They're going to start looking at just how cozy the Democratic Party was with the Department of Justice and the intelligence communities as they went after Trump on numerous occasions, the Mueller report and 2 impeachment proceedings, and then January 6th. And they're going to try to make life quite unpleasant. And the guy looking into this, a guy named Jordan, is as unpleasant as it comes. He is like a bulldog when he goes after these guys. So we're going to have, you know, a couple of years of very raucous meetings and people screaming at each other. Is not much going to get done. Probably not, but keep in mind that there is important work to do. You got to keep the government running. You have to raise the debt ceiling in July. I mean, there are things these people have to do, or the credit of the United States will be at stake. So they have serious things to do. But I'll tell you what, they've been waiting for the chance to get their hand on the subpoena powers and the investigative powers so they can go after this. So at the end of the day, McCarthy got what he wanted. It was a long trek. But I'll tell you what, the American public have pretty much given up on Congress. Pew Research shows that about 80% of Americans don't expect Congress to do the right thing. So Congress could have been there all, you know, until the cows come home, counting votes. Americans didn't expect much from them. So anyway, Congress is going to have to prove itself. The 118th Congress is up and running.
Just finally, of course, China has now reopened its borders. It's been a long time coming. What do you think we can expect now that they're back open to the world?
Well, China's a major player. You know, China's not invading anybody's country. Beat America at its own game in globalization in terms of manufacturing, trade, and financial services and the like. I mean, China wants to deeply get involved in this, but you know, China's got other ambitions. I mean, aside from Taiwan, which no one's going to go to war over because America is not going to trade Chicago for Taipei or anything like that. But I'll tell you what, you got to watch for with China right now is its activity in the South China Sea. This is a very large area, 3 million square miles. It's got oil, gas, and the great fisheries of the world, and there are all kinds of conflicts there. And of course, the PLA Navy is spoiling for a fight, and the U.S. 7th Fleet is happy to give it to them. So I think we got a lot of things going on in China at the right time, and the clock is ticking because President Xi there reckons that he has to show some progress in the next year or even less, to show that he's the right guy at the right time. We don't know if this is going to happen, but I'll tell you what, Sino-American relations, and of course Australia's got to be involved in this because it's tied to the United States, is a very exciting field right now, and that's where a lot of people are looking, particularly in terms of war planning and preparation. I mean, that's where we ought to be focusing on.
Joe Siracusa, thank you very much for joining us this morning.
Thank you.